In the vast chamber of the Galactic War Council, Ambassador Olivia Winters stood alone. Her simple blue uniform looked plain against the fancy battle armor of the alien representatives. The council chamber, carved from a huge asteroid at the edge of the Orion arm, buzzed with whispered mockery. Earth, the newcomer world that had achieved faster than light travel barely 30 years ago, had the nerve to request admission to the defensive coalition. The arch-general Zaklath of the Meribian hegemony hissed with amusement, his see-through arms rippling like water. The humans send a lone female to represent their military might. How quaint. Olivia kept her calm face, despite the translator in her ear, catching every mean comment she had not become Earth's best alien diplomat by breaking under pressure. She surveyed the room, noting the 27 species represented, each one evolved for war, each one looking at her like she was a child who had wandered into an adult meeting. The coalition has rejected Earth's application for protection 3 times. She stated, her voice clear and strong in the big chamber. We no longer seek your protection. We seek to offer ours. The chamber burst into laughter from many species. The Juraxian representative, whose body looked like crystal, actually cracked from shaking so hard. Olivia waited patiently for the noise to die down. Commander Lynn Porter stood silently behind her ambassador. The military officer watched the aliens with careful eyes. She wore the same simple blue uniform, but her stance showed years of combat training. Her hand never strayed far from her sidearm, though it would be useless against any being in this room. The weapon was more comfort than protection. The Vrex Armada is moving. Through your sector, continued Olivia, unbothered by their reaction. They have destroyed 12 worlds already. Earth stands ready to help with what rumbled. High Commander Dralux, his massive form leaning forward. Your species has no battle history beyond your own planet. You have no fleet. The ship you arrived in would not survive first meeting with a Vrex scout vessel. Olivia smiled thinly. Actually, I came in our first space warship. The Defiance waits for your inspection outside. This caused another wave of laughter, but with an edge of curiosity. Now the War Council valued one thing above all else: new weapons. They had fought the Vrex for 300 years in a slowly losing battle. Any new technology, even from humans, might be worth examining. Rior? Well, said Dralux, we will humor your species. Show us this warship that you believe can stand against the Vrex. Olivia nodded at Lynn, who tapped her wrist communicator. Captain Reeves, prepare for inspection. Outside in the cold darkness of space, the Defiance waited. Its sleek midnight blue hull looked tiny next to the massive alien warship surrounding the asteroid base. To most observers, it appeared pathetically small, lacking the obvious weapon arrays and threatening shape of real warships. It resembled nothing more than a teardrop in space, smooth and simple. The War Council members moved to the observation deck. A massive window of transparent alien material stronger than steel offered a clear view of the assembled ships. Each council species had brought their flagship massive vessels bristling with weapons that stretched for kilometers. The Earth ship looked like a toy in comparison. Is this a joke? Asked Admiral Thexel, his 6 eyes blinking in sequence to show his disgust. That vessel could fit in our waste disposal unit. Olivia stood tall, ignoring the insult. The Defiance represents a new approach to space warfare. We focused on quality, not size. Lynn stepped forward with a data tablet. Might I suggest a demonstration? Our sensors indicate a small VREX scout group will pass through this sector in approximately 2 hours. We could show rather than tell. This announcement caused a stir among the council members. The VREX rarely sent scouts this close to coalition headquarters. It was either very good timing or the humans knew more than they let on. Several representatives whispered to each other, casting suspicious glances at the Earth women. You claim to know the movement patterns of the Vrex? Asked Zaklath, his translucent body glowing with interest. This information would be valuable. We have been studying them since they first appeared at the edge of our solar system, said Olivia. We chose not to share our findings after our 3rd rejection from the Coalition High. Commander Dralux made a rumbling noise in his chest cavity that translated as thoughtful consideration. Very well, Ambassador Winters. We will observe your demonstration. The Coalition fleet will stand ready to rescue your tiny vessel when the Vrexy overwhelm it. Livia and Lynn exchanged a brief look that contained years of shared history and planning. This was the moment Earth had prepared for since first contact revealed the galaxy was filled with war. The moment humanity would prove its worth not through size or strength but through innovation. Captain, prepare for demonstration protocol, one said Lynn into her communicator. Permission to engage the Vrex scouts upon arrival. Understood, came the calm reply of Captain Abby Reeves from the Defiance. We are ready. The War Council members settled in to watch what they assumed would be a brief and futile display. They did not notice Lynn slipping away to return to the Earthship. They did not see Olivia placing a small device on the observation deck window. They were too busy making wagers on how quickly the human ship would be destroyed. None of them suspected that everything was about to change. The balance of power that had existed for millennia was about to shift, and it would begin with a single shot from a ship they had laughed at. Captain Abby Reeves sat motionless in the command chair of the Defiance. The bridge hummed with quiet efficiency as her crew prepared for the coming demonstration. She looked calm, but inside, her heart raced. This moment would decide the fate of Earth. The ship is at full readiness, Captain said. First Officer Kelly Morgan, her dark hair pulled back in a tight bun. All systems show. Green Abby nodded, appreciating the professional tone. They had trained for this moment for 5 years. The Defiance might look small from the outside, but inside it contained the most advanced technology humans had ever created. The bridge was surprisingly spacious, with 6 control stations arranged in a semicircle. Each officer focused intently on their screens. No one spoke unnecessarily. The tension was thick enough to touch communications. Officer Maya Ellis turned from her station. They are still broadcasting, Captain. The War Council members are placing bets on how quickly we will be destroyed. Let them, said Abby. She had expected nothing less. The Coalition species had evolved through conflict. Their cultures valued strength above all else. They could not understand the human approach to warfare. They would learn soon enough. Chief Engineer Susan Blackwell spoke through the comm system. Singularity core stable at 98%. Captain kinetic barriers at maximum quantum displacement system, primed and ready. The ship AI named Athena spoke with a calm voice. Ambassador Winters reports. The War Council has agreed to a demonstration. They are watching from their command vessel. Tactical Officer Lily Chen studied her display screen. The Vrex scouts are exactly where intelligence said they would be, advancing through the Perseus cluster. She looked up at Abby, her eyes showing concern. These are not just scouts, Captain. My readings indicate at least 15 vessels, each one bigger than our largest Earth battleship. Abby stood and walked to the tactical station, studying the readings herself. The Vrex ships resembled giant metal squids, their tentacle-like appendages stretching for kilometers. They moved in perfect formation, consuming everything in their path. This changes nothing, said Abby, returning to her command chair. The plan remains the same. Prepare for quantum jump. Commander Lynn Porter entered the bridge, taking her position at the security station. Ambassador Winters is in position. She reported the observation device is active. The War Council will have a perfect view. Abby nodded in acknowledgement. She opened a ship-wide channel. This is the captain speaking. We are about to engage in the first combat action between humanity and the Vrex. Every simulation, every test has led to this moment. I have complete faith in each of you and in this ship. Remember, we carry the hopes of Earth with us. Today we show the galaxy that humanity belongs among the stars. She closed the channel and looked at Navigation Officer Diane Foster. Set course for the intercept point. Lieutenant 1 Jump A. Captain, said Diane, her fingers dancing across the controls. Course laid in, jump in 30 seconds. The bridge fell silent as the countdown appeared on the main screen. Everyone knew what was at stake. If they failed, Earth would have no protection against the Vrex. The alien armada would reach their home world within months. No one spoke of failure. It was not an option. Athena spoke softly. Jump in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The Defiance vanished from space near the Coalition flagship. To the watching aliens, it appeared the humans had fled using conventional, faster-than-light travel. They exchanged looks of amusement and contempt. Their mockery lasted exactly 17 seconds on the bridge of the Defiance. Alarms blared as they emerged directly in the path of the Vrek scout fleet. The enemy vessels were massive up close, their hulls covered with strange organic-looking technology that seemed to pulse with life. Vrek's vessels detected, said Lily. 15 confirmed they are powering weapons systems. Shield status, asked Abby. Kinetic barriers holding at 100%. Reported Susan through the comm. Weapons status, quantum displacement drive charging at 92%. And rising, said Tactical Officer Chen. Target solution acquired, on screen, said Abby. The main view screen showed the approaching Vrek's vessels. They moved with eerie coordination, like parts of a single organism rather than separate ships. Their hulls glowed with an unhealthy green light as they prepared to fire. The closest Vrek's vessel launched energy torpedoes. The glowing projectiles streaked toward the Defiance impact. In 3 seconds, announced Athena, her voice still calm. Maintain position, ordered Abby, gripping the arms of her command chair. Everyone hold steady. The torpedoes struck the kinetic barrier surrounding the Defiance. The shield flared with blue light, absorbing the massive energy of the attack barriers, holding at 87%. Reported Susan displacement drive at 98%. The VRX ships launched a second volley. This time, all 15 vessels fired simultaneously. The space between them and the Defiance filled with energy. Weapons brace for impact, shouted Abby. The bridge shook violently as the barriers absorbed the combined attack. Sparks flew from one of the rear consoles. The lights flickered. Barriers at 52%, called Susan. Rerouting power displacement drive at 100%. Target locked, confirmed Lily, her voice steady. Despite the situation, Abby took a deep breath. All her training, all the years of preparation came down to this moment. She thought briefly of the watching War Council, how shocked they would be, how quickly their mockery would turn to fear or respect. The Vrek ships were closing in, surrounding the Defiance. They clearly intended to overwhelm the small human vessel with their superior numbers. They had no idea what was about to happen. Fire displacement drive, ordered Abby. The Defiance began to glow with a strange blue light. It started dim, then grew blindingly bright. The energy built around the hull, forming a perfect sphere. In the observation deck of the Coalition flagship, the aliens watched in confusion. "What is that tiny thing doing?" asked Admiral Thexul. "It is suicide to challenge even one." Vrek Scout Ambassador Olivia Winters checked her watch and smiled. "What you are watching," she explained quietly, "is humanity finding another way. We did not build bigger guns. We did not create massive ships. We found a different path on the bridge of the Defiance." Captain Abby Reeves gave the final command. "Execute." The quantum displacement drive fired. Not a beam, not a missile, but a concentrated ripple in space itself. The blue sphere expanded outward. At impossible speed, it engulfed all 15 VRX vessels in less than a second. When the light faded, the VRX ships were gone. Not destroyed, not damaged, simply gone. The space where they had been was empty. Nothing remained, not even debris. On the bridge of the Defiance, the crew sat in stunned silence. Then someone began to clap. Soon they all joined in. The tension broke, replaced by relief and triumph. Displacement successful, announced Athena. All target vessels removed from local space, Susan reported, through the comm. All 15 Rex vessels have been quantum displaced. Their component atoms are now scattered across approximately 5,000 cubic kilometers of space. Abby allowed herself a small smile. "Prepare for return jump," she ordered. "Let us show the War Council what humanity can really do." Silence filled the observation deck of the Coalition flagship. No one moved. No one spoke. The War Council representatives stood frozen in disbelief. Six-eyed Admiral Thexel had stopped his contemptuous blinking. High Commander Draux, usually imposing and loud, seemed to have shrunk in size. The Juraxian representative had gone completely still, its crystalline body dulled with shock. "What did we just see?" whispered someone, breaking the silence. Olivia Winters stood calmly at the viewport, a small smile on her lips. The device she had placed on the window continued to record, transmitting everything back to Earth. She had waited years for this moment. The vindication was sweet. "What have we just witnessed?" asked High Commander Dralax, his voice unusually quiet. "Where did the Vrex vessels go?" Olivia turned to face the assembled aliens. "That was the quantum displacement drive," she explained. "Earth developed it specifically to combat the Vrex." The Defiance reappeared outside the viewport. "It's midnight." Blue Hull unmarked its systems, apparently unaffected by what it had just done. The aliens moved closer to the window, staring at the small human ship with new eyes. Gone was the mockery. Gone was the contempt. Now they looked at the Defiance with a mixture of fear and desire. "Those Vrex scouts, what happened to them?" asked Admiral Thexel. "They no longer exist in any meaningful way," said Olivia. "The quantum displacement drive does not destroy enemy ships. It redistributes their component particles across several cubic light-years of space." "Impossible," muttered one of the alien scientists. "The energy requirements alone." "I assure you it is quite possible," said a new voice. The aliens turned to see a human woman in a plain white coat enter the observation deck. She wore no medals, no insignia of rank. Only the simple Earth United emblem. Chief Scientist Donna Martinez had been waiting in the adjoining room for her cue. Donna activated a small holographic projector. A simplified model of reality appeared, showing space folding in on itself. "A century ago, our physicists discovered that spacetime is not just bendable," she explained. "It can be folded, even torn under specific conditions. Instead of building weapons to destroy matter, we developed a way to relocate it." The aliens crowded around the hologram, their previous disdain forgotten. They pushed and shoved, trying to get closer. Olivia noticed with satisfaction how quickly they had changed from mockery to desperate interest. "This technology," the scientist from the Halidian Combine spoke, his feathered head tilting. "We must have it. The Vrex have consumed 3 of our colony worlds in the past year." "We are prepared to share," said Olivia. "But as equals, not as supplicants." The observation deck. Doors opened again. Fleet Admiral Patricia Hammond entered, flanked by 2 security officers. Her weathered face remained impassive, but her eyes missed nothing. She had spent 40 years in Earth military service. "The last 15 developing the Defiance. The Vrex will reach your homeworld in approximately 6 months, Admiral said Dralax, trying to regain his authoritative tone. "Their main armada consists of over 300 vessels, each one far larger than those scouts." "I am aware of the timeline," said Patricia, her voice calm but firm. "Earth has been monitoring Vrex movements for years. That is why we built the Defiance. One ship, one weapon. No conventional armaments at all, but one ship cannot stop an armada," protested Thexel. "Even with this technology," Patricia smiled thinly. "We have more under construction." The aliens exchanged looks. The implications were clear. Earth, with multiple Defiance-class vessels, would become the dominant power in the sector. "Perhaps in the galaxy humanity never wanted to be warriors," said Olivia. "We spent decades knocking on your door, seeking peaceful admission to the galactic community. Each time we were told we were too primitive, too weak to contribute. The coalition representatives had the grace to look uncomfortable. Some shuffled their various appendages. Others changed color, showing embarrassment in their species. Specific ways. Ambassador Winters. "The council chamber, please," said Dralax. "We must discuss terms immediately." Olivia nodded to Patricia, who tapped her communicator. "Captain Reeves, your demonstration was successful. Please dock with the coalition flagship. A delegation will be coming aboard." "Understood." Admiral, came the reply. The War Council members hurried from the observation deck, already arguing among themselves about how to proceed. Earth had just changed from supplicant to savior in a single moment. The balance of power had shifted dramatically. Olivia, Patricia, and Donna remained behind, watching through the viewport as the Defiance approached the docking. "Hey, do you think they suspect?" asked Donna, keeping her voice low. Patricia shook her head. "They are too desperate. They see only what they want to see." "A weapon to save them from?" The Vrex, Olivia sighed. The council representatives have been fighting for so long they understand nothing but war and weapons. She watched as the small Earthship docked with the massive alien vessel. The size difference was still striking, but now it seemed like an illusion. The true power had nothing to do with physical size. We should prepare for the negotiations, said Olivia. They will want everything: technical specifications, production capabilities, crew requirements. Let them want, said Patricia. Her eyes hardened. We will give them exactly what we planned. No more, no less. The three women made their way to the council chamber. Walking through the corridors of the alien flagship, they received very different treatment than when they had arrived. Hours ago, they had been ignored or mocked. Now aliens moved aside, bowing or making their species equivalent of respectful gestures. Guards stood straighter. Officers stopped to stare. The main council chamber was already filling with representatives when they arrived. The massive room, designed to intimidate now, seemed less imposing. Olivia took her place at the speaker position, but this time she was not alone. Patricia and Donna stood beside her. A united front High Commander Drylux called the emergency session to order. The Coalition recognizes Earth as a potential military ally, he announced. All previous application denials are hereby rescinded. Thank you, Commander, said Olivia. But Earth no longer seeks merely to join the Coalition. We offer a partnership of equals. This caused murmurs among the assembled aliens. Such a demand would have been laughable this morning. Now it was being seriously considered. The demonstration was impressive, began Admiral Thexel. But questions remain. Can this technology be adapted to our vessels? How many Defiance-class ships can Earth produce? How quickly? Olivia smiled. These questions and more will be addressed in the formal alliance negotiations. But understand this. The quantum displacement technology remains under Earth control. We will deploy it against the Vrex. We will protect Coalition worlds. But we will not simply hand over our technology. The aliens whispered among themselves. Such terms were unprecedented. But so was the technology they had witnessed. The Vrex have consumed 12 worlds in Coalition, Space said Olivia. We believe they will consume 12 more before reaching Earth. We are prepared to help, but as equals, not servants high. Commander Drylux leaned forward in his massive chair. Very well, Ambassador. The Coalition agrees to open formal alliance negotiations. Your terms will be considered with the seriousness they deserve. Olivia nodded in acknowledgement. She caught Patrician's eye. The Admiral gave a slight nod. Everything was proceeding according to plan. Phase 1 was complete. Earth had earned its place at the table. Now came the hard part. The negotiations, the planning, the preparation for the true battle that lay ahead. As the council session continued, Olivia thought about the crew of the Defiance. Captain Abby Reeves and her team had performed perfectly. They had shown the galaxy that humanity could not be dismissed or ignored. The War Council had laughed at Earth's first interstellar warship, then it fired once. Now no one was laughing. The emergency session of the War Council stretched into its third day. Diplomatic protocols that had remained unchanged for millennia were being hastily rewritten. Captain Abby Reeves stood at the viewport in the Earth quarters aboard the Coalition station, watching the alien fleet gathered outside. The once intimidating warships now seemed less threatening. Status report, Captain asked Admiral Patricia Hammond, entering the room. The Defiance is at full operational capacity. Admiral, replied Abby. Engineer Blackwell reports the Singularity Core has fully stabilized after the demonstration. We could perform another displacement if needed. Patricia nodded with approval. Tell your crew they performed admirably. The demonstration could not have gone better. Ambassador Winters appeared at the doorway, flanked by 2 Coalition guards that now seemed more like an honor detail than prison guards. The negotiations are proceeding, she announced. They are asking for 10 Defiance-class ships within. The year Abby exchanged a glance with Patricia. Both women knew that request was impossible. That is ambitious, said Abby carefully. Impossible, actually said. Engineer. Susan Blackwell looking up from her diagnostic tablet. She had entered behind the ambassador. The quantum displacement technology requires the singularity core, which takes at least 8 months to stabilize per ship. We could not build more than 5 in a year, even if we dedicated all of Earth's resources to it. Olivia sighed, massaging her temples. They still do not understand, she said. They think in terms of fleet strength, overwhelming numbers. The Council's tactics have not evolved in centuries because they have not needed to. And now they are desperate, added Maya Ellis, who had been monitoring coalition communications. The Vreks have adapted to every weapon in their arsenal. We are their only hope. The door chimed. Admiral Thexel entered, his once haughty posture now respectful. The Council has voted unanimously, he announced. Earth is granted full coalition membership with all privileges. And our conditions asked. Olivia accepted, said Thexel. Earth will retain sole control of the quantum displacement technology. In exchange for your protection, the coalition will provide resource access across 47 systems and technological exchange in all non-military sectors. That is acceptable, said Olivia. We will need to establish Earth embassies on each of the Council homeworlds, and coalition assistance with our colonization efforts in the Arcturus sector. Thexel hesitated. That sector borders Vrek's territory. Precisely, said Patricia. We plan to establish a buffer zone. The alien admiral considered this, then nodded. Very well. The Council agrees our military planners request a joint strategy session with your officers to plan the defense against the Vrek's main armada. Patricia looked at Abby. Captain Reeves will represent Earth at the planning session. After Thexel departed, the human women exchanged glances. Should we tell them, asked Maya. Tell them the truth about the Defiance. Abby shook her head. Not yet. Let them believe the Defiance can save them from the entire Vrek's armada, but it cannot, said Susan. The power requirements for the displacement field increase exponentially with the target mass. The demonstration worked because those were just scouts. The main armada would require, I know, interrupted Abby. But by the time the armada arrives, Earth scientists will have finished. Project Aegis, Olivia nodded, understanding. A planetary shield based on the same principles. Exactly, said Abby. We cannot save every coalition world, but we can save some. And Earth. Patricia moved to the central table, activating a holographic display. Show me the latest data on Project Aegis, she requested. Donna Martinez, the chief scientist, entered, carrying several data tablets. The simulations are promising, she said. We can generate a displacement field large enough to protect a planet, but it requires a fixed installation. The power core alone is the size of a small mountain. Can it be ready in time? Asked Patricia. Donna hesitated. If we have access to coalition resources, yes. The exotic materials alone would take years to synthesize on Earth. But the Halidian Combine has been using similar compounds for centuries. Then we need to secure those resources without revealing why, said Olivia. I will make it a priority in the next negotiation session. Abby studied the simulation data. The Vreks would still destroy dozens of worlds before they reached Earth. Even with the Defiance at full capacity, it could only be in one place at a time. The shield technology was their true hope. The door chimed again. This time, it was Commander Lynn Porter. She saluted sharply. The Coalition. Military Council requests Captain Reeves' presence. Admiral, their strategic planning session is about to begin. Abby nodded, adjusting her uniform. Tell them I will be there shortly. When Lynn left, Patricia turned to Abby. Remember what we discussed, she said. Keep the Defiance's limitations classified. Agree to nothing specific. Let them think we can save them all. I understand. Admiral, said Abby. The humans gathered around the holographic display, studying the simulation of the Vrek's armada. The swarm of biomechanical ships moved like a living organism, consuming everything in its path. Sometimes the best defense is not a powerful warship, said Olivia. It's letting everyone think you have one. Finished Abby, with a small smile. The planning session with the coalition military leaders lasted 6 hours. Abby sat at a table surrounded by alien commanders, each one desperate to have the Defiance protect their homeworld, each one trying to convince her that their planet should be the priority. The Vrex will reach the Halidian system first, argued one commander. It makes tactical sense to intercept them there. No, countered another. The Jormang manufacturing worlds are more valuable. Those shipyards produce 60% of coalition vessels. Abby listened, carefully saying little. She knew the truth. None of these worlds could be saved by the Defiance alone. Even with 5 ships, Earth could not protect the entire coalition. The planetary shield was their only real hope. What does Earth recommend finally? Asked High Commander Dralex, turning to Abby. We need to coordinate our conventional forces with the Defiance, she said carefully. We suggest establishing defensive lines at these key points. She indicated several star systems on the tactical display, each one a potential location for a planetary shield installation, though she did not mention this. The alien commanders studied her suggestions. Some nodded in agreement. Others looked skeptical. Your ship cannot be everywhere at once, pointed out Admiral Thexel. That is why we are building more, said Abby, and why we need coalition ships to hold the line while we deploy the Defiance strategically. The planning continued late into the night. By the time Abby returned to the Earth quarters, she was exhausted. She found Olivia still awake, studying the latest draft of the Alliance Treaty. How did it go? Asked the ambassador. They are terrified, said Abby. They try to hide it, but they know they are losing this war. Even before we arrived, they were planning evacuations. Of their core worlds, Olivia nodded. We suspected as much. The Vrex have been advancing for centuries. The coalition has been fighting a losing battle. Will Project Aegis be ready in time? Asked Abby. I believe so, said Olivia. With coalition resources and our technology, we have a chance, a small one, but a chance that is more than we had before. Abby moved to the viewport, looking out at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Vrex were coming, consuming worlds, destroying civilizations, and Earth stood between them and the rest of the galaxy. The War Council is not laughing anymore, said Abby quietly. No, said Olivia. They are not. Later that night, while the others slept, Abby met with Engineer Susan in the secure communications room. They established an encrypted channel to Earth connecting with the Project Aegis team. The coalition has agreed to provide the exotic materials we need, reported Susan. The first shipments will arrive within the week. Dr. Catherine Rivera, the lead scientist on Project Aegis, nodded from the screen. That should accelerate our timeline significantly, she said. We have solved the power distribution issues. The shield can cover an area of 15,000 kilometers. That is enough to protect a planet and its immediate orbital installations. What about the time limitation? Asked Abby. The displacement field generated by the Defiance only lasts for seconds. We are working on that, said Catherine. The planetary installation can maintain the field much longer. Our current projections suggest up to 30 minutes, but the power requirements are enormous. After that, the system needs several hours to recharge. That might be enough, said Abby. If we can time it correctly, if we can predict exactly when the Vrex will attack. Susan looked concerned. Can we evacuate enough people if we can only protect a few worlds? That is not our decision, said Abby. That is for the diplomats and politicians. We focus on the technology, on making it work. The communication ended, and Abby returned to the viewport. The enormity of what they faced weighed heavily on her. The fate of Earth, possibly the galaxy, rested on technology that was still experimental. The Defiance had worked against scout ships, but the main armada, that was a different challenge entirely. Abby thought about her crew. The men and women who had trained for years for the mission, they had performed perfectly, but the real test was yet to come. The Defiance would soon face the full might of the Vrex, and despite what the coalition believed, it could not win that battle alone. Their true hope lay in Project Aegis, the planetary shield that might just save Earth and select coalition worlds. If they could complete it in time, if it worked as designed. Those were big ifs. The stars looked cold and distant through the viewport. Somewhere out there, the enemy approached, never stopping, never tiring, consuming everything in their path, and time was running out. 2 months after the demonstration that changed the galactic power structure, Captain Abby Reeves stood on the bridge of the Defiance watching the construction of the first planetary shield generator. The massive installation circled the colony, world of New Terra like a metal ring. Energy pulses flickered between connection points as engineers tested the power distribution network. Progress report, Lieutenant asked. Abby Navigation Officer Diane Foster consulted her tablet. Chief Engineer, Blackwell reports they are ahead of schedule. Captain, the shield generator is at 87% completion. The first test is scheduled for tomorrow. Excellent, said Abby. The Virex main armada had accelerated its advance. 5 coalition worlds had fallen in the past month, each one stripped of resources their populations consumed. Their conventional defenses had proven useless against the biomechanical swarm communications officer. Maya Ellis turned from her station. Priority message from Earth Captain Ambassador Winters, request your presence at the Coalition Council meeting, set course for Coalition headquarters. Ordered Abby maximum speed. The Defiance arrived 6 hours later. The station was in chaos. Representatives from dozens of worlds crowded the corridors. Fear was a tangible presence. Abby made her way to the council chamber, finding Ambassador Olivia Winters in heated discussion with Admiral Thexel. The Jormang homeworld has gone dark, said Thexel, his 6 eyes blinking, rapidly in distress. No communications for 12 hours. The Vrex have accelerated beyond our projections. They will reach the core worlds within weeks, not months. We need more time, said Olivia. Project Aegis requires at least 3 more weeks to complete. The shield network 3 more weeks, said Thexul. We may not have 3 more days. The Coalition fleet is stretched beyond capacity. Admiral Hammond has deployed the Defiance effectively, but it is only 1 ship. Abby stepped forward. Actually, now it is 2, she said. Our second vessel. The Resistance completed its trials yesterday. It is already en route to the Meridian sector. This news caused visible relief among the council members. How many more ships can we expect, asked. High Commander Dralx 3. More are in final construction phase, said Abby. They will be operational within the month. Not soon enough, muttered someone in the crowd. The emergency council session began with reports from the front lines. Each one more dire than the last. The Vrex had adapted their tactics, spreading out to attack multiple systems simultaneously. The Defiance could not be everywhere. The Coalition conventional forces were being systematically destroyed. The Halidian representative, a tall avian being, rose to speak. My world lies directly in the path of the main Vrex fleet. We request immediate deployment of the Defiance to our system. The Jaxian delegate objected. The manufacturing centers in the Proxima sector are more valuable strategically. The Defiance should protect our industrial capacity. Arguments broke out across the chamber, each representative demanding protection for their world. Abby watched the scene with growing concern. This was exactly what they had feared. The Coalition was fracturing, under pressure. Each species thinking only of their own survival. Admiral Patricia Hammond entered the chamber, her presence immediately commanding attention. She had been coordinating defense efforts from the Coalition military headquarters. The Vrex are not just attacking randomly, she announced, her voice cutting through the noise. They are following a specific pattern. Intelligence suggests they are targeting worlds with quantum communication nodes. They are attempting to isolate us, cut off our ability to coordinate. This information silenced the arguments. The implications were clear. The Vrex were not mindless destroyers. They were intelligent, adapting, learning. I have received new orders from Earth Security Council, said Patricia. The Defiance and Resistance are to focus on protecting the quantum network nodes. All other defense priorities are secondary, but that leaves our worlds defenseless, protested several representatives. Not defenseless, said Patricia. The Coalition fleet will continue conventional defense operations, and Project Aegis has made significant progress. What is this Project Aegis? Demanded Dralex. We have heard references but no explanation. Olivia nodded to Abby, who activated a holographic projector. The image showed a massive ring-like structure surrounding a planet project. Aegis is a planetary-scale application of quantum displacement technology, explained Abby. It creates a shield that can protect an entire world. The first installation is nearing completion. At New Terra, the council chamber erupted in excitement, hope replacing fear for the first time in months. How many of these shields can be constructed, asked Thexel. And how quickly? That depends on resources, said Abby. Currently, we have materials for 6 complete installations. Priority placement is still being determined. This immediately sparked new arguments, each representative insisting their homeworld deserved protection. The unity created by the revelation quickly dissolved. Enough, shouted Dralex, his massive form rising to its full height. The Coalition High Command will determine shield placement based on strategic value. This is not open for debate. The council session continued for hours. Technical specifications were discussed. Deployment schedules argued, resource allocations debated through it all. Abby remained silent, observing the political maneuvering. She was a soldier, not a diplomat. Her concern was making the technology work, not deciding who it would save later in the Earth. Quarters. Abby met with Patricia Olivia and Chief Scientist Donna Martinez. The truth is, we can only protect a fraction of Coalition worlds, said Donna. The planetary shields require enormous resources, and even with accelerated construction, we cannot build more than 10 before the Vrex reach the core systems. We knew this from the beginning, said Patricia. We never promised to save everyone. Olivia looked troubled. These people are counting on us. They believe we can protect them all. We can only do what is possible, said Abby. We focus on the strategic assets, the communication nodes, the manufacturing centers Earth, and hope it is enough. A priority alert sounded. Tactical Officer Lily Chen appeared on the communication screen. Captain, we have detected a change in the Vrex formation, she reported. The main armada has split into 3 groups. One continues toward the core systems. The second has changed course toward New Terra. The shield installation, said Abby. They know. The third group said, Lily, her voice hesitant. They have changed course toward Earth. The room fell silent. The implications were clear. The Vrex had somehow learned about Project Aegis. They were adapting their strategy, targeting the shield installations and Earth itself. How long do we have, asked Patricia, her voice steady. Despite the news, at current speeds, the group heading to Earth will arrive in 22 days, said Lily. The New Terra group in 17. Is the New Terra shield operational, asked Abby, not yet, replied Lily. It needs at least 5 more days. Patricia turned to Abby. Deploy the Defiance to New Terra immediately. The Resistance will continue protecting the communication nodes. I will inform the Coalition High Command of the development. Olivia looked at the tactical display. What about Earth, she asked. Our own shield is still under construction. The Earth installation is at 72% completion, said Donna. It can be operational in 18 days. If we divert all resources, that gives us a 4-day margin, said Patricia. Not comfortable, but possible. Abby nodded, understanding her orders. The Defiance would defend New Terra, buy time for the shield installation to be completed, then race back to help defend Earth. It was a desperate plan, but the only one they had. The next 2 weeks passed in a blur of activity. The Defiance arrived at New Terra, joining the defensive fleet gathered there. The Coalition had sent every available ship, forming a protective screen around the planet. The shield installation continued around the clock. Engineers working in shifts to complete the massive structure. Abby stood on the bridge, monitoring the approaching Vrex fleet. They moved with purpose, their biomechanical ships forming attack patterns never seen before. They are learning, said Tactical Officer Lily. Each encounter they adapt, they become smarter. How long until they reach weapons range, asked Abby. 8 hours, Captain, replied Lily, and the shield will be ready for testing in 12. We need to buy those 4 hours, said Abby. Alert all ships. We engage the VREX at maximum range. Our priority is delay, not victory. The battle began at the edge of the system. The Coalition fleet advanced, meeting the VREX head-on. Conventional weapons flashed against biomechanical armor. Fighters swarmed between capital ships. The Defiance held back its displacement drive, not yet at full charge. Casualties mounted quickly. The coalition ships fought bravely, but they were outmatched. The Wrecks pressed forward, absorbing losses, continuing their relentless advance. 2 hours into the battle, half the coalition fleet was gone. The defensive line collapsed. The Wrecks pushed toward New Terra. The Defiance moved forward, its midnight blue hull now scarred. "From enemy fire displacement drive status?" asked Abby. The bridge around her was damaged, smoke filling the air from overloaded circuits. Several crew members were injured. 93% and rising, reported Susan through the damaged comm system. "We need 5 more minutes, Captain." "We may not have 5 minutes," said Abby as the tactical display showed the Wrecks closing in. 3 massive ships broke through the defensive line, heading straight for the Defiance kinetic barriers at 38%, warned Athena. "We cannot survive another concentrated attack. Evasive maneuvers," ordered Abby. "Keep them at range as long as possible." The Defiance twisted and turned, using its smaller size as an advantage.